evening. Welcome to Behavior Has Meaning. My name is Dr. Cassie, and I'm so happy that you are joining me tonight for a very foundational training on behavior. We will have a couple of questions that you're able to respond to if you would like. If you have a question anytime, I'm open to answering questions at the end. I don't have a partner with me right now helping me go through questions. So you're welcome to ask questions in the chat. If I ask a question during the training you'd like to respond, please do so. The more you put into this, the more you'll get out. This is my first webinar I've done for a while, so we're just going to move right along. Remember that you can get a certificate for this for ongoing training. I have your names. If you're with a program and you would like to you're watching this together with your program and you'd like to receive a training certificate for each person, please email me the names of those who are in attendance with the spelling so that I can send those to you. And with that, let's get started. Our time's going to go by quickly. I'm going to share my screen. This is always fun. And here we go. Behavior Has Meaning. Again, my name is Dr. Cassie. I am a professor at Pikes Peak State College, full-time faculty in early childhood education, and I also teach part-time in the psychology department. I also have my own consultation called A Little Sass. If you are joining me as a student from Pikes Peak, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. If you're joining me from your house, thank you for taking the time to join us. And if you're with your program, hello. And if you're watching this after this has been recorded and you're not with us live, welcome. Let's get on with Behavior Has Meaning. As we get started, I just want you to reflect, either with those in your room or just take a moment and think about some of the common behaviors you observe in children that may be seen as challenging. These could be children in your care, child care, your preschool location, your own personal children. What are some behaviors that you may see as challenging? I know that I have had some challenging behaviors pop up all the time on the daily. And if you'd like to share it in the chat, you're welcome to. And if not, that's perfectly fine. But this is the focus today. What are challenging behaviors? Why are they challenging? And what's the meaning behind these challenging behaviors? So let's take a look at our objectives. Through this training and at the end, you should be able to walk away with the tools to explain the importance of children's behavior as communication. We want you to be able to analyze and interpret the meaning of children's behavior. And I'm going to share, we will cover some strategies that address children's behaviors and build a supportive learning environment. How can you do that? Well, guess what? It all starts with us as the adults. As hard as that may be to admit to, we start all of that. Okay. Let's go. I think I have a question. I don't know how to get to it right now, but I will get to it, I promise. So let's start here. When children's emotions are high, this little child right here you may have had in your own experience, when their emotions are high, their logic and their language are low. So, in a meltdown, that's not the best time to reason with them. We have to just connect with them and hold space and just be. Connecting in a way that says, hey, I see you, I hear you, I notice that you're frustrated. Hold that space, a safe space for them to have that high emotion, and then just be. Just be. Because when our emotions are high, all we're hearing is blah, 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 nothing. And I know as an adult, I don't like to be told, hey, you just need to calm down, right? Taylor Swift's song, You Need to Calm Down, gets in my head, unfortunately or fortunately, and I don't like to be told to be calm, as our children don't like that as well. So, emotions are high, their language, that could add to some behaviors. Their language is low, they can't think. So, there's a lot going on. Walking away from this, if you leave with anything, keep this in mind that all behavior is a form of communication and has meaning. All behavior, happy behavior, sad behavior, any type of behavior. If it is seen or heard, there's a reason for it. Now, behavior. Let's talk about it. Behavior is learned. The behavior that you're seeing has resulted in the child getting, I got this, or avoiding, I don't want to do that, or I don't want that. They're getting or avoiding something in the past that has increased the likelihood that the behavior will occur again. Wait, what did I just say? Let's put this in simpler terms. If a child has obtained what they wanted in the past by acting in a certain way, they're going to continue to behave that way to get what they want. I'm sure you've all have seen that in your field, in the field of early childhood. If you're a parent, a teacher, a director, you have seen behaviors. They're repeated behaviors. The behavior you're seeing now is because what they've experienced prior to this. So if you're having a child who continuously shows the same behavior, maybe we need to reflect on the environment that the child is interacting with. So let's talk about behavior being used to obtain something. What does the child get? If we're looking at this photo of this little one here on the lap of the adult, and there's two other children, what is the child getting? If you're with your team, if you want to share in the chat, please do so. What the child is getting to obtain maybe the attention, right? This child's getting attention not only from the adult, but from the other children around him. Behavior, move on. So we see behavior in children to obtain something. We see behavior being used to avoid. So looking at this picture of this child, what might he be trying to avoid? I bet you've never seen this behavior. I bet you have. Yeah, cleaning up, doesn't want to clean up. A lot of you are saying it's cleanup time. It's time to clean up. Um, right. I don't want to clean up. It could be the child just arrived and mom, dad, grandma, sister, whoever brought the child to the center or to the home for childcare is sad because they left him. But yeah, I don't want to clean up. That's the main problem, challenging behavior I hear when we first see this. I don't want to take a nap. I don't want to eat. I don't want to stop what I'm doing. Or, hey, you can't tell me what to do. So behavior is used to avoid. Oh, I bet you've never seen this look ever. It's my favorite photo. I had to put it on here. But children communicate in many ways. There are different forms of communication. The same goes for adults. We use words, sentences. We point to pictures. We look with our eyes. Infants mostly communicate through crying, through their facial expressions, biting. Anybody have someone who's bitten before? Biting is a form of communication and more than likely is happening when the child cannot express their wants or needs in the appropriate way. How many have had tantrums? Anybody have a child who clings to you, clings to the adult? We got some clingers? Yeah, there's a reason behind the behaviors. What we need to do in our role is find what the root cause is for the behavior. Something is being communicated. So, behaviors can mean many things. I want you to pay attention to me. I'm sure you have children who do that, and they'll do whatever they can in their toolbox to get your attention, whether it's in a positive way or in a not so positive way. Either way, they know how to get your attention. Maybe they want you to play with them. Maybe a child wants another child to play with them, but they don't know how to ask. So then a challenging behavior, a mistaken behavior arises. Here we go. I don't want to clean up. Absolutely. I feel that too sometimes. Maybe the child wants something. They want a toy, they want paint, they want the cup of water, and they're just pointing and you're thinking, I don't know what you want. If you're with toddlers, oh, if you work with toddlers, you have a group of children who are learning language. And when they get upset, you are going to see some challenging or also known as mistaken behaviors. They're trying to communicate. You'll see some tantrums. You'll have some biting, right? Toddlers are so fun. Maybe they don't want to stop doing what they're doing, or I don't want to interact with anyone. Sometimes I don't want to interact with anyone. Is there a place in our learning environment that allows children to feel safe and secure with the decision to not interact for a moment? Now, if we're looking at behavior, there are two parts to a behavior. All behavior has a function. So the function is why the behavior occurs or what a child is trying to communicate. So everything we just looked at here is a function. Function, why the behavior occurs. To obtain or to avoid. Those are the two reasons for behavior, for communication. We're obtaining something or avoiding something. So, determining the meaning, we need to determine the function. So there's a process for determining the function, the meaning, and it might seem complicated, but we can do it through the A, B, C's approach. I struggle with this word. I even had to look it up. I really did. So I'm human, and this, I'm just going to play it. Antecedent.
Antecedent.
Antecedent. Say that with me. Antecedent. That's a fancy term for what happens before the behavior. Antecedent. Fancy word for what happens. We're going through our checklist, the A, B, C's, to decide and determine what the behavior reason is. So we're looking at the antecedent, what happens before. B, we're going to look at the behavior and clearly define what the behavior is. And then C, review and reflect on the consequence. What happens after the behavior? The A, B, C's. A, what happens before. B, what happens during the behavior. And C, what's the consequence? So, before the behavior happens, it could be the child asked to do something. Perhaps my teenager says, "Mom, can I go hang out with friends tonight?" That's the antecedent. Someone took something away from the child. That is what happens before a behavior. The child's having difficulty with a task. Frustrated. But what is happening before? Maybe the child wants an object that's not available, or the child is asked to stop a preferred activity. It's time to stop now, and they don't want to. What happens before? A. Then we're looking at the behavior. So we're going to review the definition. One, we have to be able to observe or hear what took place before the behavior. So it needs to be observable. Can it be seen and heard? And is it measurable? Can it be timed or counted? Can I measure how long a behavior occurs? Can I count how many times it happens? Because that's going to help inform my decision in supporting the child. Maybe it's happening every day as a transition. Transitions are the most difficult time of the day. We lose so much time in transitions. I have a whole training on transitions. Fun times. But maybe it's transition time. And I'm going to watch the behavior. The child refuses to move, or they fall on the floor and they have their massive tantrum. And then the consequence. So I'm looking at, did the child get the attention they wanted? By acting this way, did the child get the object that they wanted? Did the child get the help? Did the child get to continue to play through the cleanup because the teacher ignores them? You may have, and it's okay, you may have a child, and I know you do, many of you, those children who are never absent, that child who's there, you just let them have their time while cleanup's going on because you don't want to deal with that behavior. Yeah, they're getting what they wanted. That behavior is getting a result that they were wanting. Or the child avoids circle, which is a non-preferred activity. So the behavior before, it's circle time. What happens? The child falls to the floor and starts screaming. We let the child, just ignore our friend, right? We'll meet over here and continue with our circle. Guess what our little friend gets? His or her way. Yes. So remember, all behavior has a function. Now it's time to play. Name that function. And I'll have you name that function in a poll that I'll release after. Hopefully this works, but after we watch this video. So we're going to watch a scenario. And if you have a piece of paper with you or your phone to take notes on, I want you to find the ABCs of the behavior you're going to observe in a classroom. So, what happens before the behavior? What is the challenging behavior observed or heard? And what happens after the behavior? In this scenario, we're going to watch what does the child get or avoid by engaging in the behavior? What does the child get or avoid? Here we go. Ooh, there are some behaviors there. I want you to identify the ABCs, and I'm going to put up this poll. I'm going to launch this. There are four, sorry, go to number 2. What happened before the behavior? What was the challenge in behavior? And what was the consequence? What happened after the behavior? I'll give you a moment to provide some answers in the poll, and then we'll look at it all together. Right. So, what happened before? Thank you for those who were able to type in. The other children were not acknowledging the child's efforts to play with them. Right. So, we have two groups. The child who is perhaps showing the behavior, but before the other children aren't acknowledging him. He wanted the other boy's attention. Not getting something. The child didn't get what they wanted. They don't get their way. What was the behavior? Yeah, that little boy went up and hit. He scratched. Throwing their bodies, screaming, kicking, the screaming and kicking. The other one that got hit and scratched. And even before that, the behavior before our little friend went over and scratched and did all the actual behavior, he was trying to get the other children's attention in some form. And it was with the, hey, he got closer, right? He's over on this side, and then he starts moving closer to the friends. They're not acknowledging him. So then he starts spitting at them, not acknowledging him. Then, if I'm writing down some observations or keeping the thought in my mind, then he goes over and scratches, hits the friend. What was the consequence? Yeah, C, what happened after? The other child hit him back. The other boy got in his face, moved away. Absolutely. So there were a lot of behaviors going on, both from the child who was having some challenges. Very nice job, by the way. You identify the A, B, C's in that very nicely. But we have these behaviors, and how do we support our children who are struggling with that? Well, we need to try to get to our slideshow. Um, find, let's go, find the reason for the behavior. So you identified the before, the behavior itself, and the consequence. Very nice. I know it seems very lengthy, but if you're in that moment and you're seeing some behaviors, take a moment, after you take care of everything, to write down that observation or to reflect with your teammates. This is what I saw. This is what happened. Because you'll be able to use that when you're talking, depending on the age of the child, about the situation that occurred. So, challenging behaviors, there are three essential practices. One, we need to use developmentally appropriate strategies such as redirection. I know you all know what redirection is. I'm 100% sure you do it several times a day. But how much of your time is used in redirecting behavior? If your circle time is consistently spent on redirecting behavior, what's the point of having your circle time? The learning isn't taking place. Get your attention. Listen here. Stop touching each other, right? We're redirecting. That's where I need to reflect on my teaching practices and what I'm doing to engage my students, to engage the children in the activity. And there's also some planned ignoring. It is okay in some situations to ignore a behavior or to simply say, I like you too much to argue. I'm going to walk away. I'll come back and check on you, but right now I'm not ready to argue with you. And then walk away. But always make sure you go back and reflect or check on the child. Planned ignoring. That means you're looking ahead, you're preparing for a behavior you know will come out with a certain child, and you're going to just not give it the attention. Two, for an essential practice, is to respond to the child by stating the expected behavior in positive terms or providing an acceptable alternative. There is a difference, and I like to share this a lot, but we have classroom rules, and I can't see you, but if you're raising your hand or just thinking in your mind, yeah, we have classroom rules. Great, we should have those in place. But keep in mind that rules are stating behaviors you do not want to see. Whereas if we have classroom expectations, if I'm stating the expectations in the classroom, I'm saying the behaviors I want to see. Expected behaviors in a positive way is more appealing and more settling in the mind of a child than don't do this. In our classroom, we don't run. It seems like in those situations, the only words the child will hear is, we run. Don't run in the classroom. Run in the classroom. Don't hit your friends. Hit my friends, right? But if we're using our expected behavior language and we have visuals in the classroom to support that, Then we can review that with our students, with our children. In our classroom, we're expected to treat each other with kindness. Show me what that looks like. In our classroom, we walk for safety. Show me what that looks like. In our third essential practice, provide positive attention or positive descriptive feedback when the child engages in the appropriate behavior. And I know you already do this, but sometimes we need that reminder, not just the, hey, good job. Wow, way to go. What is so meaningful to a child, and even as an adult, if you just quietly go up and say, hey, nice job. I like the way you lined up so quickly and quietly today without hitting any friends. I am so proud of you. Way to go. Walk away. Describe the behavior that you wanted to see and acknowledge it. Praise the appropriate behavior. Those little one-on-one is going to stick in the child's mind more than calling it out in front of everybody, right? Hey, everybody, Cassie is sitting so nicely. Or I could just say, I saw you. And if you whisper that across circle time, the other kids are going to try to listen into. 3 essential practices: appropriate strategies, respond with expected behaviors. Now, there's times when we need rules. We do not run across the street. That is a rule, right? So, expected behaviors and positive attention. Let's move on. Redirection, we've talked about this. We know that we're going to use the strategy with the intention to guide a child's behavior from an inappropriate or to an appropriate behavior, right? So we're going to stop. We redirect. Hey, let's try this instead. We want to bring minimal attention to that challenging behavior. We want to limit the discussion. There's no discussion in this matter, right? And we don't want to bring a lot of emotion. This is where we need to breathe and say, wow, it's not okay to throw the ball across the classroom. We're going to go. Here we go. Safira, I'm getting to. So instead of saying our classroom rules, we say our classroom expectations are perfect. Absolutely. That's exactly what we want to do. So remember the rule. Who likes rules, right? But if we're putting that spin as this is the expectation, this is how we roll in our classroom. Redirections. I'm watching our time. I want to be respectful to our time together, knowing that this is there's so much to share. I would if I needed to do a part 2 for this, I will. If you want to bring me to your program or have a webinar with just your staff, we can do that. But I have examples here. I kind of gave some. There are some things I really want us to get to. We're not going to observe this second video because it's another video we would look at. Okay, I really want to watch it. Yeah, how does the teacher respond? This video is a little bit longer, and if you're interested, I will really consider doing a part 2 to this. There's a little teaser, I guess. Factors impacting responses to challenging behavior. This is where we need to reflect on our behavior. So, what are the implicit biases we might have? What are the elements of the situation? What's the person's decision state? What is your state of decision making? And are you using deficit thinking or are you using strength-based attributions to behavior? What does this all mean? Well, what is implicit bias? So that's defined as the attitudes or stereotypes that affect our understanding, actions, and decisions in an unconscious manner. We do things without even thinking about it. And that's based on our own life experiences. So if you've had a child, I'll use my husband for an example. We had all of his siblings in the class, and we know that they were all challenging children with challenging behaviors. And now here comes Curtis. I'm already having this implicit bias, this stereotype of great. Another one of the siblings is coming into my classroom. I'm already ready to treat this child in a way that is not fair or appropriate because of my experiences prior. Maybe I had a tough time with that child's parent while I was in school. I don't want to deal with their child, right? I know what they were like in school. Those are those biases we bring with us. So it's important to consider the elements of the situation and our personal decision state. When we're looking at the elements of the situation, that's when we're deciding how to respond to the instance of the challenging behavior. So we need to pause and consider, am I making a snap decision? Sometimes we do. We're just like, boom, stop that, right? Knock it off. Don't do that. Hey, you across the classroom, stop that. Is this a high stakes situation that could result in the use of exclusionary practices? Something I would not normally do. And what influences my response? Is it the time of day? Is it the location? How am I responding based on the situation? These are reflective questions. When something does happen, we're trying to be, we don't want to be reactive. We want to be ready to say, hey, I'm going to breathe. I don't like what's happening. It's not okay. Here's how I'm going to handle it. This is what deficit thinking sounds like. I'll just read a couple. Hey, those children have parents that have been in jail, so no wonder they have issues. Or, hey, the parents value education, the child will succeed. So look at Anna's family. They come to school every day and she has no behavioral issues. Do we compare children to other children? If we do, and I know I have, I will just be honest, right? We are comparing children. No wonder they have behavioral issues. Don't compare children. Deficit thinking. Some children will never be able to learn like the other children. Bottom line. Or, hey, I don't think there's anything I can do to fix that child because too much has happened in their life. That is deficit thinking. That's what it sounds like. We want to use a strength-based approach. So these underlying beliefs of strength-based approaches include all children have strengths and abilities. Children grow and develop from their strengths and abilities. The problem is the problem. This is my favorite. If you just want to write this down, make a poster of it, put yourself a reminder, write it across your head, share it with families. The problem is the problem. The child is not the problem. I'll say it one more time. Let that sink in. The problem is the problem. The child is not the problem. How are we going to support this child in working through the challenging behavior? So let's reframe. We're going to do some reframing. If you've taken pyramid model, you're familiar. But the deficit thinking, the child's father's in prison, the mother's completely overwhelmed. No wonder he's a mess. We're going to look at some strength-based thinking. All right, I'm going to acknowledge that people experience difficulties and challenges that need attention and support. I mean, I have difficulties and challenges that need attention and support. So I'm going to reframe my deficit thinking to all families have challenges. How can I support every child's family? So here's a little step for you. Pause, ask, respond. PAR. If you're agitated or stressed by the behavior, then hey, PAR. Pause and reflect. Take a deep breath. Think about what happened before the behavior occurred. Now you're doing some ABCs for yourself, but we're doing the PAR. Pause and reflect. A, ask. What is the child trying to tell me? Do they want something? Do they need something? What do I know about this child that will help me figure out the reason for the behavior? And respond. When I respond, I ensure the child feels validated, listened to, understood, and safe. And I guide the child to an appropriate alternative behavior. You can also do the try when I'm stressed. Hey, just try it. Take a breath, reflect on my emotions, reflect on the meaning of the child's behavior, and why I will think, you got this. You can be calm to support the child to be calm. As early childhood educators, we need to bring the calm. When things are out of hand, we need to be the calm. We might run just a couple minutes over, but I'm going to share this video. I want you to just listen and breathe.
I get really mad when my brother hits me a lot. I don't like it when you say you don't want to play with me. When I'm mad, my brain can get a headache and it can start hurting. Your blood keeps pumping because you're like really mad. And you start to get sweaty because you're getting really, really mad. And then when you start getting really mad, you turn red. When your body can't really control yourself, mad just takes over your body. I just get out of control. It's kind of like if you had a jar and then the jar would be your brain and then you put glitter in the jar and that would be how you would feel. Like, if you shook up the jar and the glitter went everywhere, that would be how your mind looks. And it's like spinning around and then you don't have any time to think. And you sometimes punch stuff and people when you don't really mean it. When I get angry, I feel it in my heart. I really don't like when I get angry. The amygdala really reacts, but the prefrontal cortex tries to keep it down. When I feel like I want to, get really angry and yell, I just sometimes, take a deep breath. Like first you find a place where you can be alone, then you find some way to relax and calm down. When I need to calm down, I take deep breaths. I breathe in through my nose. Sometimes I close my eyes or just take deep breaths. It's calming down, it's not moving. It's slowing down and then it stops. And the heart pumps slow and then it goes into your brain. Like all the sparkles are at the bottom of your brain. My brain slows down and then I feel more calm and then I'm ready to speak to that person.
Oh, I just stopped that abruptly. Yeah, we need to breathe. And we'll talk in just a moment, but I want to make sure that I provide you with some ways that you can support the family. So if we're reframing our thinking, what can I do to support every child's family? Excuse me. We can offer to assist the families in addressing behaviors at home. It's not my place to go in and say, this is what you need to do, but I can provide some supports. Provide the family with materials to use in the implementation, provide coaching to assist the family with implementation, reach out to an early childhood mental health consultant, establish systems for frequent communication. If you're not familiar with this tool helping families, yeah, you should be able to see it. This is an amazing tool. This is the family guide routine. If you would like for me to email this to you directly, I can do that. Actually, I'm just going to copy. I will paste this into our question answer box. I'm not sure if you're able to see any of the chats, but I will email these resources to everyone who's attending tonight. This is a nice, just little guide for families on routines. How to use the family routine guide for children with challenging behaviors. There's a planning sheet in here. This is something you can work together with the family on. This could be a family night supportive tool, and I love it. And this is one of my other favorites, most amazing tool ever. This is your backpack series. And this is all coming from the National Center for the Pyramid Model. So if you're familiar with that and you already have these tools, excellent. I hope you are using them. But you can go into each area and you can choose out of all these tools of support. Perhaps you have a child who is hitting and pushing. Well, I want to view this source. This is what it looks like. I can send this home with the family. Maybe I'm doing a monthly newsletter that goes home. Give me 4 more minutes. I'll let you guys go. I have to share these. But I don't have to, but I want to. This backpack connection series is amazing. So you may have a weekly letter or a monthly letter. How to help your child stop hitting and pushing. Maybe these are at the front of your center or your program. Maybe you need these as a parent, as, hey, I don't know what to do with my child. Here are some strategies on what you can try at home and what can be practiced at school. So if we're having some consistency between home and school, we know that the child is going to be successful in learning how to move through some challenging situations. So there's those two. I hope that you're able to get in there and look around. Again, I will share those with you. Let's wrap up. Yeah, and it's okay. We don't need to reflect on this. I'm watching our time. I want to thank you for being here. My name is Dr. Cassie. I'm with A Little Sass Early Childhood Consultation. I am a licensed company. And really, just thank you so much for being here tonight.